And then as for the Philadelphia Eagles, and another thing, Vonnegut, as for the Philadelphia Eagles, listen, I know why Eagles fans are nervous because the offense just disappears out of nowhere. I mean, just out of nowhere.
It happens every week.
And, where it feels good for you in the first half, and you're like, this is it. We finally hit it. And then poof, gone. And the stat that backs that up is Jalen Hurts won his second game this year without completing a pass in the second half. No other starting quarterback has attempted a pass without a completion in the second half of a win in the last 2 seasons. The last quarterback to have multiple such wins in a single season, they gave up in 1991, the stat folks. They're like, yeah, we're not going back further than that. Since 1991, nobody else has done what he's done. So there's nothing you could compare it to. But I look at the standings, and if the Lions can spit their last breath at the Bears and they beat the Commanders at home, then the Eagles are the 2 seed. And so, end of the day, the Eagles are having a home game, as I say. They're going to wind up most likely facing the 3rd place team in the NFC West, which is going to have, if possibly 13 wins. I think so. 13 wins, because the Rams play the Falcons tonight and the Cardinals at home next week.
Yeah, they should win both those.
So that's going to be a handful, and we'll see what happens there. But defensively, they were buzzing all over the place. And just got to figure, we get Lane Johnson back. Let's get Ella healthy, start running Saquon more, and off you go. And the switch gets flipped. We'll see how deep they can go. But I didn't see any photographs on that standings that just popped on the screen. None at all. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going home to win a game against a team that's at 500 to win the division and host a playoff game. If I told Steelers fans going into the season that was going to happen with Aaron Rodgers, their quarterback, they'd have signed for it, I think. They'd have been like, oh, what happened again? We were blowing it at the end of the season, losing against a team with 3 or fewer wins. And I'd be like, yeah. Because that's what happened again. The Steelers going into Cleveland, 3 wins. Stop me if you've heard this before. As a matter of fact, they're 0-4-1 now in their last 5 games, the Pittsburgh Steelers, against teams that have 3 or fewer wins this late in the season. It's happened before, and it's happening again. This time around, though, they don't have their top wide receiver because he decided to lay hands on a dude with blue hair, barking at him, even though they have a history together. I mean, I'm wondering if DK Metcalf is watching this guy's press conference saying, I cost 2 games because of that guy.
Yeah,
and the way that I handle my business with that guy, or he's sitting there thinking unfair treatment. I don't know. Bottom line is he's not going to be there next week against the Ravens, who are coming in with Derrick Henry coming off of a 36-carry, 216-yard, 4-touchdown performance against the Green Bay Packers. And that's not an exaggeration. And all they had yesterday on offense, it felt, against a stout Browns defense, be very straight up with you, we all know how good they are. Myles Garrett's Defensive Player of the Year, looking for the sack record yesterday. And all it looked like was, they had was, let's try and back shoulder our way through it. Because 2 things. 1, Rodgers is outstanding at the back shoulder throw. And 2, I got to get rid of it because Myles Garrett is all over me. And the last thing that I think Rodgers and the Steelers really wanted, in all honesty, this is TJ Watt's record that's at stake here. And the last thing they wanted is to have Garrett get the record, breaking TJ Watt's record against the Steelers. That is stuff that they just don't want to have. And I'm sure Rodgers was using that as a shoulder chip. But, at the same time,
There's
This is
bigger
Miles
things.
Garrett. I know.
And Jake said it in one group chat. I said it earlier in my fantasy chat. It's like they were playing like that was the most important thing, was to stop him from getting this record.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't get it, and Miles Garrett, after the game, flat out said it, hit it.
To an extent, I feel like they were more worried about keeping me away from Aaron than getting the win, and I think that's what came back to bite them. So they'll have to fight it out with Baltimore next week. But I'm just proud of the guys for fighting and getting this win. That's the main thing, and I'm always going to keep it that.
Wow, what a verbal grenade to lob into the Pittsburgh locker room after you upset their apple cart and force an AFC North championship game in their house. That's going to be the last game of the regular season. Mike Tomlin had this to say about that comment.
Mike, was there too much focus or emphasis on keeping Myles Garrett from that sack record? Did you feel that from your offense at all?
We didn't do anything against Myles that we don't normally do against Myles. The sack record's irrelevant. We got to minimize him if we want to engineer victory. We did the same thing last time we played him. I didn't think he had any sacks in that game either. And so we didn't take a different approach because of the gravity of the record. It's just standard business when you playing these guys and him.
It makes sense. I mean, you're going to account for 95.
Yeah.
But what a grenade for him to lob in. And now, as he said, they've got to fight it out with the Ravens next week. This is what Aaron Rodgers had to say about that contest.
You talked about something it's hard to bounce back. You guys have kind of already done that once you have seen the first game. Does that make it a little bit easier to have confidence in your ability to do it again?
I have full confidence we'll go home and win next week.
I don't know how many others share that sentiment in Western Pennsylvania right now. At least none of my Steeler friends do, right? But it is all on the line. No DK Metcalf's 100% makes this team different. And then Darnell Washington broke his arm.
Jeez.
I'm wondering if they could cast that up and see if he'll play. I have no idea.
I'm surprised he feels pain.
Nice, good one.
I'd say he'll probably do it. But the Metcalf thing, just man.
He's got to be just staring into space saying, the guy with the blue hair with that crazy press conference, that's the guy who's going to basically cost it? Unreal. Unreal. The Steelers and the Ravens, last playoff spot available in the AFC for the right to, I believe, host the Texans. Good luck either way. Because I saw that Texans team with my own two eyes on Saturday, and they are 100% Super Bowl worthy, ready to take your quarterback out. Out. And in that game, Chargers and Texans, the Texans get on top with two up-top touchdowns, one on the third snap of the game and one on their second possession of the game, wrapped around a 3-and-out of the Chargers, where Jaden Higgins had a 75-yarder and Jalen Noel had a 40-plus yarder. Yep. And Jack Andrade of NFL Network and the great stats guy hands me this stat in the middle of the game that serves as a did you know? Did you know Texans rookie wide receiver Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel are the first rookie teammates to catch 40 or more yard touchdown passes in the same game since Chargers rookies Harrison Davis and Don Woods did it in Week 8, 1974 against Cleveland. And
Wow.
To answer that question, no.
And
I did not know.
Well,
that.
wait.
Oh, there's more?
Because last night, Colston Loveland and Luther Burden III had the night, right?
They did.
And I just texted Chris Fowler during the commercial break. You call them Bucks, Panthers? And he just wrote back, yes, sir.
Nice.
And then Buck and Aikman in San Francisco. What? Now, there is a scenario in which Carolina can lose that game and still win the division. It's not yet winner in, loser goes home. That could be the case, depending on tonight's Monday Night Football game. Because, believe it or not, the Panthers and the Bucks have not won enough to the point where the Falcons can catch them both, and there could be a three-way tie at 8 and 9. And if that happens, the Panthers go to the playoffs. So if they lose to the Bucks, and the Bucks become 8 and 9, and the Falcons join them at 8 and 9 by beating the Rams tonight and the Saints the following week, the three-way tie goes to Carolina. So it's entirely possible that Carolina loses to the Bucs, and the Bucs have to wait to see if the Saints put them in the playoffs the next day by beating the Falcons. Of course, the Rams winning tonight would put the Bucs in the position of hosting a playoff game and winning it. And that's that. So, as a matter of fact, that's the clinching scenario is the Bucs need a loss by the Falcons in either week and then the win over the Panthers to make sure that the Falcons do not join them three-way tie atop the NFC South.
Crazy.
Now, the night game though is for the 1 seed and the West.
Right.
Or it's similar to last year's last game of the season between the Lions and the Vikings, where the winner is the 1 seed and the loser goes on the road for the playoffs. So the loser of the 49ers and the Seahawks goes on the road. And it looks like to Tampa or Carolina. And then if the Rams finish in the 6th spot, they go back to Philadelphia, most likely, where they almost beat Philadelphia in the snow last year. The one team that came as close as possible to Philadelphia, to beating them in last year's playoffs. And this year had them dead to rights until they had some massive problems with the kicking game. Wow. Back here on ESPN Radio, 844-204-RICH, number to dial. We'll take your calls. Bills, Eagles. Listen, I'll be honest with you. Halfway through that second half, I'm texting with Jake Culp, Rich Eisen show